so much for giving us just a little bit of your time, as I have to scroll up through all these pictures to get to the thumbnails, so I click it off, and you can see my beautiful face. What is happening, everybody? Thank you all for joining us. Going to be a lot of fun tonight. It's going to be a very deep horror center for this channel for the next few days, something that I'm sure makes Tex extremely happy, because we are right in his wheelhouse. But let's get right to it with my amazing co-host, starting with my header life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm just glad that it stopped raining for maybe at least a day. Now it's just hot as balls. So, and it only gets worse from here. So, we got that to look forward to.
Well, you know what they say, it's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity.
Yeah, I know. I mean, in other Midwestern news, it's not like I was not on the porch sitting there just watching the thunderstorm go by, listening to the dulcet tones of Van Halen to the Twister soundtrack. I mean, I had to do all the things, all the steps in order, okay?
Yeah, right.
It's the sex zone, man. It's the sex zone.
Well, exactly.
Twister review is coming, folks. It's coming right before we do Twister. We're going to do Twister. I'm sure that's how it's going to work.
I was like, I was going to ask if we had it. I'm like, if we haven't, we have to. Oh my god.
We're going to. I've been saving that one. I know that Twisters is coming, and me and you love Twister, so we're definitely going to break that movie down before the sequel, prequel, whatever the hell it is, comes out. And of course, down south, coming to us from on the road, the shape of the Lone Star State. My man Tex, what's up, brother?
Frank, why you got to be asking all these kind of jackassy questions like this? You probably think common folk like me are just all simple, right? It's just all shucks, hook up the wagon, Ma. God damn, I love this fucking movie. I can't wait to get into this one.
Yeah, this movie kind of confused me a little bit, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. Overall, I think it was a fun ride, but there was obviously some first-time director things that I noticed. But let's get right into it. Obviously, we're here to talk about House of a Thousand Corpses. That's the 2003 American black comedy horror film, written, co-scored, directed, and led janitored by Rob Zombie in his directorial debut. And the first film in the Firefly film series. It stars Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Sheri Moon, Karen Black, Rainn Wilson, Chris Hardwick, Towles, Erin Daniels, Jennifer Jostyn, Walton Goggins, and Dennis Fimple in his final role. The plot centers on a group of teenagers who were kidnapped and tortured by a psychotic family during Halloween after traveling across the country to write a book. Inspired by the 1970s horror films such as Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes, Zombie conceived the film while designing a haunted house attraction for Universal Studios Hollywood, where filming took place in 2000 on the backlots and in Valencia, California. When the studio shelved the film, fearing it would receive an NC-17 rating, Zombie reacquired the rights. They were eventually sold to Lionsgate Entertainment, who released the film in April of 2003. Despite receiving unfavorable responses from critics, it went on to gross $16 million worldwide. And since its release, the film has achieved a cult following and was developed into a haunted house attraction on itself by Zombie for Universal Studios, and was then followed by two sequels, The Devil's Rejects in 2005 and Three from Hell in 2019. The film went on to gross $12.6 million in the United States alone, with an additional $4.1 accumulated worldwide. The film's reported gross of just short of $16 million, or just short of $17 million, $16.8 million, was against a reported budget of about $7 million. According to Zombie, Lionsgate Entertainment made back their investment on the film on the first day, and shortly afterwards approached Zombie. Having already begun developing ideas for a sequel, Zombie quickly began work on the follow-up. The film has a 20% rotten rating on film review website Rotten Tomatoes based on 68 reviews, with a weighted average of 3.8 out of 10. The site's consensus review reads, quote, "There's an abundance of gore in this derivative horror movie, but little sense or wit." A little bit harsh for that consensus review, but I mean, and look, as somebody who has been widely disappointed by horror movies since the late 80s into the 90s, I still thought this movie was a lot of fun. I'll get into the details here in a minute, but let me get to you first, Jeremy. Give me some of your quick thoughts on House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, that pretty much said it all. Like, I've always said, like, do you want to know? Could you ever imagine like what a haunted house would be like as a movie? Because that's what this feels like. And ironically, I mean, that's what he was going for, and he hit it on the nail on the head pretty well. But then the irony being that he does make it into an attraction eventually by the people that said, no, we don't want to do this in the first place. So it's all a big story of fuckery, which is pretty funny. And I think that's a little harsh, and I don't think it deserves that kind of rating, especially that low. I'm like, again, is it high art? No, it's not. But it's not like 20%, 3 out of 10. Like, I mean, you at least need to make it mid. Now, like you said, there's a lot of first-time director things. Like, yeah, you can tell it's the first-time director. It's like you're finding your feet, and like I was explaining to her, I'm like, you watch a Tarantino movie, you know you're watching Tarantino. You watch Tim Burton, you know you're watching a Tim Burton movie. I'm like, this right here, this is Rob Zombie, and you know you're watching a Rob Zombie movie. So he's got his own style, and honestly, I think I'm excited for the sequel because the sequel was leagues better, in my opinion. It's still just as fun. The most fun part being this little creepy stuff right here in the corner, by Captain Spaulding. Criminally underused. I'm like, you have him in maybe 3 scenes, but I'm like, he just steals the scene in every shot he's in. But yeah, this has got legs, and then it starts to run in the sequel. So I have not actually seen 3 from Hell yet. I think I bought it the year it came out and just had not got around to seeing it. So I'm excited to see how it wraps up.
Yeah, it's actually got right now as I'm looking at the updated Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 22% rating. I'm sorry, a 22% critic rating, but a 65% audience score.
I was going to say that sounds better. Yeah, I would have expected like mid. Well, I was saying, when were those made? Because they're all like, it's violent, it's blah. I'm like, well, I'm sure as we're going to mention, you got to think in that time that wasn't out yet. We didn't have the remake of Texas Chainsaw. We didn't have the remake of Halloween, Friday the 13th, stuff like that yet. So I'm like, you got to get it in there. I believe this was the same year as the remake of Chainsaw, right?
It was 2003, yeah. 2003,
so, it's like you don't have that level of gore and violence and stuff in horror movies that we've come to know now. So, I mean, it seems silly to think that they're like, oh my God, it's just horrifying. I'm like, yes, but just wait a few months and you're going to see some other wild shit, okay? So strap in. Strap in for the murder ride, I guess, as he would say. It's going to go off.
Tex, keep your thoughts kind of brief. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to about
I might as well check out. I'll come back in like an hour with his opening.
How much time do you have?
Yeah,
how much time do you have, friend? You know,
give me some of your quick thoughts on this movie before we get into the spoiler talk.
Yeah, I saw this when it first came out, and this film was one of those, like, I can look back and see, you know, when I saw a certain film that equivocally affected my life and my taste in film. And in 2003, when I saw this, I knew if I were to ever make a movie, it would look very similar to this. This is, you know, Rob Zombie's an acquired taste. Some people fucking love his shit and some people despise him. I love everything the man's ever done. I love this film. I could wax poetically about this thing for days, but quick thoughts. This is a desert island movie for me. This is a top 5 movie for me of all time. I love this movie with no problem saying it whatsoever.
Yeah, you know, for me, I mean, overall, my general thoughts of the movie are that it was a lot of fun to watch. It was certainly not atypical when it comes to horror or any other kind of movie at all. Rob Zombie was trying to do something else here, and I very much respect when people put their balls out there and try to do something different. I really appreciate that. It's what helps push filmmaking, evolve filmmaking. That said, you can tell this was his first time out. Now for his first time out, I'm not going to lie. Overall, this was pretty damn good effort. I mean, I can nitpick a few things, but it's like there comes a time in everybody's life who's really good at something that they weren't very good at it. It's like, I played a lot of baseball. When I first swung a bat, I wasn't very good at it. I had to play a lot of baseball and get better at it. And Rob Zombie, I think, is progressing as a director and as a filmmaker very much. He's certainly a creative. I mean, obviously the music and stuff like that. But filmmaking is kind of a different beast because it's not like you can go back to the studio and you know re-record re-record your masters or anything. This is always going to be out there. So there were some things about it that didn't quite hit me just right, but it didn't take away from the fact this movie was a lot of fun to watch. I think at times he tried to make it a little too artsy. He was trying to put a little bit of an artistic spin on it, and I was like, I don't really want art in my horror. I want horror, and I want bad guys I either want to hate or that I want them to kill all the teenagers in the movie. And I want teenagers that I just want to see get killed one by one. I mean, that's kind of what I want out of a film like this. There's a basic formula that you kind of have to stick to. Now, you can build off it from there and do a couple of different things. But this movie at times didn't quite know what it wanted to be. And I don't know if that was because his vision it seemed a bit muddled at times. Again, a fun movie, one I'll watch again. But there were definitely some first-time director things in here that kind of stood out to me as I was watching the movie. I know I'd seen this movie before. I was watching it yesterday, and I was like, I feel like I've seen this movie before, like when it first came out, like 20 years ago now. But it had been so long, it really was like I was watching it for the first time. But I mean, let's get into Rob Zombie as a director for just a second. I mean, he's got a long list of films now, and like I said, this was his first time out. But let's take a minute to kind of review him as a director, like his whole body of work at this point. I'll go to you first, Tex. What do you think of Rob Zombie as a director?
I've said it numerous times, and I'll say it numerous more. Rob Zombie is my favorite director. Even his weakest films of like Lords of Salem are still movies that I like. I mean, obviously, he's obviously most famous for the Firefly family films and his Halloween, 1 and 2. But his filmography to me is of a true artist that doesn't really give a fuck. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about him. He's very Quentin Tarantino style, like Jeremy said. He knows who he is, and he knows what kind of movies he likes. Rob Zombie is a grindhouse 70s era brought to modern day cinema kind of director, and he doesn't apologize for that. I can appreciate a creative who knows who he is and is not willing to sacrifice that for the sake of financial gain. I mean, Rob Zombie, his films cause a lot of problems, especially whenever he did the Halloween films, because you turned Halloween into white trash trailer park. Well, what the fuck did you expect when you hired Rob Zombie to make your fucking movie? This is what the guy likes. The guy, almost every movie he makes, it looks like he should be making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And the guy knows his style. He's loyal to his actors. He gets criticized for it when others get praised, which I still don't fucking understand. But I'm a fan of the guy. I am a staunch Zombie defender, and I've had this argument so many times on the internet, it's fucking ridiculous. But, I'm a Zombie fan, no matter what, till I die.
Yeah, Jay, what do you think? Rob Zombie as a director, looking at his whole body of work up to this point.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to make me follow Tex, who would suck him off if Rob Zombie asked him. If you want me to sum up what he just said.
Fair. That's a fair argument. I can't give blowback to that. That's a fair argument. I can see a lot
of blowback, huh? I'll keep it going. Like it's nothing really different than I could say is what I'm saying. To like what Tex said, like if you imagine now, especially like I said, if you watched a movie, it's like when you listen to certain. Ironically, I'm going to say as an example, listening to certain types of music, like you know who made it, right? You watch these movies and oh, that's definitely Rob Zombie. And like he said, he knows, what style. I mean, what works for these movies, and I mean, it may not be everyone's cup of tea. I mean, I know it's not. And I look at it and I realize I'm like, oh yeah, these are like spirit animals of like, this is how I act during the haunt season. So,
hell yeah,
I can't really, knock it, because I will say I did take something from this movie, and I do to this day still do it. When I chase people with a chainsaw, I will scream at the top of my lungs, "Run, rabbit! Run, little rabbit!" as I'm chasing somebody through hell. Ironically enough. So,
shoo, said the buddy.
So, thank you, Bill Moseley.
God, I love Sheri Moon in this fucking movie. God, she's just like the sexiest motherfucker on the planet. I swear to God, I'll marry that bitch right now. I love her.
So
I'm not gonna lie. She was 10 different kinds of sexy in this movie.
Good
I'm not gonna lie.
God,
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it was right before they got married, right, or like shortly after they'd gotten married. Like
it was either. Well,
I think
this was filmed.
They were only dating. I think they were still just dating when this movie was made.
Yeah, because maybe when the movie came out, because it was like 3 years later. I think they might have been married by that.
Well, yeah, they made this in like late '99, early 2000. So I think they were just
it was
right
actually
around.
shot. It was shot in 2000, but because of the stuff, with the studio and all that.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was right around there. I didn't know exactly when. I knew it was around there.
I think so. I need to get a pair of rabbit ears for this year. And, like just bloody them up and put one like down or something and chase people with a saw. Right. Pretty damn funny. I might do that.
There you go.
Yeah, for me, look, he's had an evolution as a director. Like I said, one of the things I've noticed that several of his films, they've got a not great critic score, but a fairly decent viewer score. It's like House of a Thousand Corpses is a 22-65 split. Devil's Rejects is a 54-78 split. Halloween has a 28-59 split. Halloween 2 has a 25-44 split. And again, they're not fantastic scores, but they are certainly the critics are saying one thing and the fans are saying something else. Lords of Salem is one of the few outliers. It's got 47 critic score with a 30 audience score. I haven't seen Lords of Salem. It's one I've always wanted to watch. I haven't.
Yeah. If you don't like artsy Rob Zombie, you're not going to like Lords of Salem. It's a very different style of film. Very artsy.
I'm still going to watch it because I'm curious. I want to give it a fair shake. 31 is the same thing. It's got a 47% critic score with a 35% audience score. And then you get up to 3 from Hell. It's actually pretty even. It's a 57-55 split. It's pretty close. And then The Munsters is the one really weird outlier. It actually did way better with the critics than with the audience. It had a 53-35 split. And I think that movie ended up being much more watchable than I thought the trailer was giving me. I still think it's one of the worst trailers I've ever seen. But the movie ended up being slightly entertaining. But
it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch if you don't.
He made it.
You're not supposed to take the Munsters fucking. Yeah, it's literally the '60s show modernized. Is all that it is. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's a fun fucking Munsters movie. I don't know what people expect from Rob Zombie. He's not going to make fucking Shakespeare. I don't understand the hate for the guy.
But yeah, But as I haven't seen all of those movies, but as I've watched a couple over the years, I can see that creatively he has made some leaps and bounds. So let him keep making movies. I'm not going to say that at this point, it's like even after The Munsters, I thought was entertaining, it wasn't very good at all. I think this movie was far better than The Munsters. But still, I can still see his vision and how he puts movies together now compared to how he put this movie together 20 years ago. And there's definitely some growth that has happened there. So I'm willing to keep watching stuff he puts out because I'm willing to see his growth as a director. Look at the work he's put into his music. And like Tech said, one of the things I like about creators is when they're not creating stuff to sell, they're creating stuff to create. That's usually the stuff that is better anyway. And when you're doing that, you're gonna hit with audiences more. Because one of my favorite things to do for movies is to look at the critic and audience split. It's like you'll see the critics give something like a 12% and the audience gives it like 98%. It's like I'm following the audience on this one because I'm one of them. I'm not one of the critics. I'm one of them. I'm one of the audience. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to believe their take on it because if most of them like it, I'm probably going to like it. But let's talk about the cast now. And good God, everybody here is. It's such a. It's like this. I know that this movie was. He said he was inspired a lot by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The cast and the portrayals. That's the vibe that I got from watching them on camera so much was that was a big throwback to Chainsaw for me. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think of the cast and who stood out the most for you? Obviously not the for sure people like maybe Spaulding right here, but who stood out in the cast for you the most?
Well, yeah, obviously it's going to be the late and always great Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding, obviously. Because like I said, me, there's an obvious choice, but I will try to pick someone out of the rest of the cast, and that's just way too easy for me. We share a birthday, so I have to give it to Chris Hardwick. Come on, the iconic Dr. Slayton. Come on, how do you not love this guy? Bill
He
Moseley's
cheapskated on the gas and forgot to put the fucking spare tire in the truck, Jerry. Come on, damn it.
bullshit. Hey,
He's not made of
technically
money.
he did what he was asked. He filled the tire up.
He filled the
Damn it.
tire. Technically speaking.
Bastard. Oh man.
Mhm.
I don't recall a time where Chris Hardwick was driving the car, so sounds like somebody else should have been taking tabs on his own vehicle. Dwight. Jesus.
Yeah.
Maybe he stuck the tire in a thing of Jello. I don't fucking know. Maybe he thought it was funny and they left it behind, and it was like, damn it. I've never once seen The Office because it's way fucking overrated. And please stop talking about it.
A couple episodes are funny. I don't think it was all that great, but a couple episodes are funny.
I don't know. I'm sure it's funny. I mean, the comedic talent amongst that group, yeah. But I don't know. I've just never seen it. But yeah, no, it's Chris Hardwick all day. I wish I was not in the middle of a damn move. I could have pulled out my little pop figure, Chris Hardwick from Talking Dead, where he's got the blood splatter all over his face. It's a really cool one. But that's my pick.
I don't know, Tex. What about you? Again, a really great cast all around. What did you think of the cast, and who stood out most for you?
Well, there's so many horror icons. I mean, Karen Black has been in 1,000 different things. Bill Moseley. I mean, fuck, he's fucking Chop Top. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Bill Moseley, literally, if you go back and listen to Zombie talk about how he casted Bill Moseley, there was some sort of award show that Bill Moseley and him were at, and Moseley was in character as Chop Top in something, and Zombie literally like, hey, I have this film. He basically copied that role, just like an older version, a older, more psychotic version is how you got Otis. Obviously Spalding. I mean, I've said it on here 100 times. If I ever get to play a movie role, cast me as young Spalding, son of Spalding, multiverse Spalding. I don't fucking give a fuck. I want to play that goddamn role because, like, you're telling me, like, that would be, I could die after that because all my goals would have been fulfilled. Sheri Moon, I know a lot of people shit on him for casting his wife and everything, but you know what? The guy loves his wife. She's gorgeous. She's a good horror actress. Horror's never been known for, spectacular Oscar-winning performances. She's a horror icon. I don't care what anybody fucking says. But all that being said, it's Sid Haig. He's Captain Spaulding. Just like Jeremy said earlier, he's in few scenes in this film. He really carries the next one. This guy cemented his legacy with this one role, and he's been acting since the fucking 60s on the Batman TV show and shit. But yeah, Sid Haig, God rest his soul, the man was a legend. So no arguments.
Yeah, I can't really knock any of this cast. It's like, because the thing is, like you said, you're not making Shakespeare out here. So the performances, while they matter, it's not like a guy missing a line, not delivering quite right is going to. There's so much going on in this movie. It's going to kind of get lost if there is a little bit of subpar performance. But really, I mean, one of the people who stood out to me the most was Sheri Moon. It's like I know that you didn't like her the Monsters. Yeah. I thought she was what made that movie better for me. I really liked the way that she didn't just kind of do an impression of Lily Munster. She kind of did a different version of it, but still had the essence of the character. And looking at a much younger version of her from 20 years ago, being this crazy daughter who's psychotic and hot all at the same time, which, let's admit, guys, kind of turn on.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, she stood out really well.
She's redneck Harley Quinn is what she is. I mean,
I really thought that she should have been probably the centerpiece of this movie. I mean, as much as because, I mean, look, Sid Haig was great, but I mean, he wasn't in enough of the movie for me. I mean, for all the marketing and stuff that happens around Sid Haig for this movie particularly, and for this entire Firefly trilogy, it's like for all the marketing, it's like he's only in this movie for like the beginning and the end and like one part in the middle. And it's like, and the opening was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. The opening got me into the movie, but I was like, you spent so much time putting this guy's face out there, and he's not really significant in the movie. So now I'm sure he's a bigger part of the next two films, which I haven't seen yet. But
I'm like, well, Devil's Rejects. Oh my God!
I will say this. I will say this now, and I don't know if you have this in your notes later or not, but it's worth touching on multiple times. This is one of the great lost films of our time because, I mean, obviously it was made in 99. Universal fucking just shelved it because they couldn't figure out how to fucking do it. Zombie buys it back, tries to sell it to MGM, but he fucks himself out of that deal with his loud ass mouth, basically saying they had no morals. So they said, fuck you, Rob Zombie. So then Lionsgate comes along and makes it. Did y'all ever see the pirated version of this movie? That's like 20 minutes longer.
No, when I was doing my reading on the trivia and stuff, I heard that there was a version that Rob Zombie had screened somewhere for a group of people.
Yes.
It was not a version that was available. So
yes.
It's probably something
that
got tucked away somewhere, but it's not. It hasn't.
Well, see, that's the thing. This is one of the most pirated movies of all time because this is when piracy really kicked off. If you go back and look, this leaked early and it affected the box office. But there is a NC-17 version of the film that's 40 minutes longer than the theatrical. That had Spalding driving like a clown version of like an ice cream truck. Much more gore, much more blood. It really, like that one scene where Sheri Moon is like playing with the dead body kind of sexually. There's more necrophilic stuff. But that was the screener version that went out for, we
lost you a bit, Tex.
We lost him, I think. If this is a bit, this is really he's gonna come back with the clown makeup.
this is usually the part where his signal drops out. It's once a show, pretty much, and it's been a while since it's happened. But like I said, I mean, Sheri Moon, I thought not only is she knockout gorgeous in this, but I mean, I thought she should have been one of the centerpiece of the film. I mean, again, that was part of one of my few problems with this movie is that there wasn't really like Leatherface is the center of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Obviously, Friday the 13th. It just seemed like everybody here was just killing somebody at some point, and I'm like, she should have been the one that. There he goes. She should have been the one that kind of drove this stuff. That's kind of my thought of it all. But yeah, I mean, well, I'll let Tex finish his thoughts when he comes back here in a second. But let's get to kind of the plot right now. I'll go to you first, Jay. What do you think of the plot of the movie? I mean, again, not anything too different from most horror movies that we've seen over the last 60, 70 years. But the plot worked for you, or is there anything you would have changed?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward horror movie plot. Couple teens that are obnoxious and dickheads, mostly Chris Hardwick. I mean, he plays that guy pretty well. I love Jimmy, that character. Get wound up in these backwoods parts of somewhere they probably shouldn't be, and it goes sideways real fast. So this movie's, I mean, like I said, you can tell where the influence came from of like 80% of this movie is basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just in a different set of family. I mean, the dinner scene alone is literally just almost straight out of Texas Chainsaw.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, it's a shot for shot remake right now.
Pretty much. And even the, hey, go get Grandpa. I'm like, yeah, I could hear the fucking cook's voice in there as they were, Tiny gets up to go get Grandpa, because of course, who does his best, I don't know who I want to say does it better, Showtime. Fucking, yeah, it doesn't need much more than that, really. I mean, it's a 70s set film, so obviously, again, it's right in that era where you can kind of, I can't see, keep that for just a second. Like, I can't see anyone else other than Dwight. It's like, it's mildly distracting because I'm like, oh yeah, it is 2003, right? But I could kind of believe that it was set in the time period it was set in. The only thing that I assume that's his girlfriend next to him. I really didn't know, and I really didn't fucking care because, as Dead Meat James put it, the two girls were just kind of fucking pointless in this movie.
I don't know why
that right there that's like her only fucking character trait is just making that face all day. And I'm like, I understand you're getting pissed off that, like, I mean, someone like Sheri Moon is hitting on him. Like, you know, can you blame the guy? But it kind of at least gave a little bit of like, you know, I'm like, okay, you're on my nerves a little bit. But when it went off and she shoved her, I'm like, oh, okay, now we're getting into it. I'm like, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. So I don't know. It's and also Tusk. Before that was even a thing, they turned Dwight into a fucking fish. So if you would have put
that shot right here.
if you put like two big teeth on that dude, I mean, you got Tusk right there. Like, get your heart out, Kevin Smith. So.
Yeah. You know what? Another quick thing about the cast I want to point out. I forgot to point it out. Where's my picture at that I had? Damn it. Is the guy who was like all gung ho about being here in the first place, who was kind of getting on my nerves at one point. I love the fact that he's like so happily like, I'm totally going to put myself in a position to die, that I might die because this is all so fun to me. He was actually some of the best comedic part of all this, because like everybody else is really uncomfortable, but he's just like, head first, I'm going to go into all this because I want to find this. I want to find this Dr. Satan guy.
This damn tree. Yeah.
But,
well, he found Dr. Satan right there. He did for sure.
Yeah, the plot is where I run into a few problems. It's like I can get the influences of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
The different horror movies, and that was fine. But I think because he was trying to be influenced by everything, that we got text back, thankfully. But I think because he was trying to show so many influences, this is where I think things get a little muddled. Because it's like
too much all at once.
Because it's like he tried to shove a little bit of every kind of horror genre in this. It's like, because the first like 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be a horror comedy that leans harder into the horror, which is kind of horror comedies that I like. And then you get to, the kids get to the house, and that's when it starts, the tone of the film changes, and it becomes more of a straight up slasher. And then that's when he starts hitting you with like the home videos that were very Manson-esque. And I understand that, the Manson home videos were one of the things that inspired him, kind of inspired his look at this movie. It's like you get to that, and it kind of gives it an artistic look. It seemed like he didn't pick like one genre of horror he wanted this to be, and then just kind of went with that. He tried to stuff a few too many different angles into this, and that was the point where I was like, this movie starts to feel a little uneven towards the middle, because like I said, if it was going to be a horror comedy that was like 80% horror, 20% comedy, that worked out great, because you have characters like this. Anytime you have a scary guy dressed as a clown, a horror comedy is going to work great. And then even Sheri Moon, in a way, is kind of a goofy funny. So, and that works out pretty well. But it's like, but then it changes tack to a kind of a shock film. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a big departure from the comedy that we got from, Sid Haig and stuff like that. And it's kind of a departure from the weird psychological stuff that we kind of get from Sheri Moon. And it's kind of a departure from like the dinner scene, which is straight up a shot-for-shot remake of the scene from Chainsaw, like you said. It seemed like this movie didn't really know what genre it kind of wanted to stick to. And while I get that he was influenced by a lot of different things, you can't always throw a lot of different things into a blender and make a milkshake that's drinkable. You know what I mean? Tex, we're talking about the plot a little bit. What do you think of the plot? Yeah. And is there anything you would have changed?
Well, the things I would have changed was I want to see the fucking NC-17 version that had the extra gore, violence, and depravity that Rob Zombie specializes in. I mean, the plot is, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre without a fucking chainsaw. Let's be honest here. He didn't do anything. The only thing he did original here was take a plot but put it with new characters in a little bit different way. Instead of a gas station with barbecue and no gas, it was a fried chicken joint that talked about serial killers. That, come on here. Which, if you're going to steal from the best. So Toby Hooper, he's the king, you know what I mean? But I want all of the depravity that was in the original idea. One thing to kind of touch on what you were just saying, Frank, the reason why this film seems so disjointed at times, pay attention to the lighting. Within certain shots, it will go from regular white lighting to like bright ash red for no fucking reason. And it's intercut within scenes. The reasoning for that was Rob knew while he was making this that the MPAA was going to fuck his movie raw. So he was shooting each scene at least twice different ways. And he was intercutting them. He had hired 2 different ADs to make this movie with his vision. So he was kind of overseeing everything. Like you said, he was popping the popcorn, sweeping the floors, and running the camera. He was kind of doing a lot of things on this one movie. But it works because if you've ever seen a Rob Zombie music video, it shows in this movie. His style, I mean, go look at Dragula. I mean, his probably most famous video he's ever done. And then watch this movie. They're within the same world.
Or
this is what I'm saying.
The tripping on mushroom scenes from Beavis and Butthead Do America, which was actually something that he did.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's so, whenever Rob shot this thing, like when they're sitting at the dinner table, it goes from bright red lighting to regular. And one scene's a little bit crazier than the other. The scenes where Sheri Moon is naked, rubbing herself with a skeleton, in a very sensual way, which apparently that's one of the scenes that the MPA really lost their shit about. So it had to be fucking cut. This is what we lost in the plot and why I fucking hate the MPAA, because a NC-17 rating should not be a death note to a film. Make it fucking unrated. Tell the people, hey, don't bring your fucking kids to this and don't bitch about it when they see it. It's not our fucking fault. I cannot stand that shit. If you want to see a blood and gore film or a fucking SpongeBob movie, you know what you're going to watch. So plot-wise, give me the most hardcore fucked up version of this movie because it's the shit I get off on. I love this movie. It's amazing.
I do agree that people should have a choice. So you put out the one that you're going to put in theaters, so the more squeamish fans might get the exposure to the story at least. And then,
if you're squeamish, then stay the fuck home. Don't ruin everybody else's fun.
If you want to put together the one that you're trying to make people vomit out of their noses, then make that one and put it on. Make it a special feature in the DVD, or release it as a second DVD. Put it as a steelbook.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't go. It's not like you can't release that on Shudder. It's not like we don't have places.
Right. This is what I'm saying. Just because, some moms in the Midwest some pearl clutching pussies think, oh, that's too far. You can't show this. But watch this guy get shot on the 9 o'clock news. That's fine to show. Well, where's your fucking line? What's the problem? One of them's real and the other one's not. I have never understood this kind of argument, but, it's whatever.
The problem is that you think the Midwest is a bunch of pussies. I'm like, I don't think you want to go there with that argument, do you?
Well, I'm not specifying. I'm saying like stereotypical, oh dear, kind of, like 1950s Midwest. So you know what I'm saying. But for the people that want to see fucked up shit movies,
okay.
Hey, it's
came out there a little bit. Did you hear that? I was almost like, okay, bud.
Movies. There are so many fans of movies like this, from Cannibal fucking Holocaust to Texas Chainsaw to this to whatever. Why can't we have our movies? Why does our shit have to get fucked with? But Quentin Tarantino or go look at some of the shit Arnold Schwarzenegger's done in some of his movies. He fucks people up and nobody bats a fucking eye. You know what I mean? But the scary horror film can't get away with it. It doesn't make sense to me.
And then people will say things like, oh, yeah, that's just glorified fake violence. And I'm like, well, do you really think they're hacking?
Right. Well, just like right here in the chat.
That's fake.
Frankenflow. He says, I watched U.S. attack Iraq footage on CNN as a little kid, but we can't have movies without censorship. So this is literally the point of fucking Cannibal Holocaust. Once again, why I say it's one of the greatest movies ever made. On the 9 o'clock news, we can show the most profane, violent, fucked up shit. But God forbid a movie theater like Terrifier or something is shown. That's going to scar and ruin the kids. But the news is not. Are you kidding me? Come the fuck on. This is bullshit.
And you have a choice to watch all that stuff. You can choose not to go to the theater. You can't choose that's on the news. Yeah.
Right. I fucking hate censorship. I don't want it. It is your job as a parent, if you don't want little Susie or Johnny to see the fucked up Rob Zombie movie, don't let them fucking see it. Be a parent. But whenever they do go see it with their friends, don't blame us because we have the freedom to do this shit. This is America, goddammit. It's not our fucking fault that you're a bad parent. but who gets blamed? It's always been that way.
I've had this conversation so many times as a haunt actor.
Yes.
I'm like, well, why did you bring your kid who can barely walk into the first of all underground in a cave? Beside the point, like little Timmy here is like 5 years old. I'm like, now I'm not like a complete dick, but like if you approach me, I'm like, I understand it's a kid. I'm not gonna full force him, but I'm like, you still
but you're there to do
you still paid. I know,
but you're there to do a job.
You paid to get in here, and I am going to do my thing. Now I might tone it down a little bit, but I'm like, I will still fuck with your kid because what am I going to do? Not do my job? I'm like, that's the thing when people come in and say, "Oh, don't scare my kid! Don't scare my kid!" I'm like, I know you didn't walk through this entire goddamn haunt, through every single room, every single actor, and told them, "Don't do that! Don't do that!" I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to do what I am paid to do. And you're going to get over it. If you don't want to bring him here, go get a babysitter. Go fucking leave him with a sibling, with somebody, a family member. I don't care.
But therein lies the problem. Just because Johnny or Susie goes for a sleepover with their friends and one of their friends snuck out Dad's copy of House of a Thousand Corpses and saw Sheri Moon rubbing her titties with a fucking fake skeleton. Now that kid is ruined for life, but don't forget about all the fucked up shit they've seen at your house. Blame the movie. This is the problem with censorship. It's bullshit, dude.
I had a sleepover birthday party thing with a friend back in probably about that time, about third grade. I was about 10 years old, and then we watched that night.
Yeah.
His dad busted out Cujo, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I've been attacked by a big dog. I think it was a Saint Bernard, and I was like, wow, this is fun.
Well,
I mean,
and
it was a little different. I will say this. I'm like, that was a little real, but I
will say this. I was
like 10 years old.
I know I am the extreme example of a gore horror fan. I know what classification I belong in. I'm not your average person who thinks, oh, that Michael Myers movie was spooky. I'm not going to sleep tonight. I've seen the most fucked up shit movies that you've probably ever been fucking made. Some of them probably shouldn't have been made. But that being said, I know what kind of fan I am. I know what I like. I don't expect all of my movies to be put in the premier cinemas, the AMC's nationwide. I know for the shit that I like, I'm going to have to source it out. And whenever a movie like this is made with an uncompromising artist like Rob Zombie, who knows his shit, who's good at his shit, he's loyal to his fans. I'm the reason why Rob Zombie keeps getting fucking work, because people like me will pay 15 times over and fucking over again for some cool shit like this, because we don't get it often. Why do you think Terrifier is such a big fucking deal? It's not because it's something new. It's because it's something we've been wanting for fucking decades. It's ridiculous to not get serviced whenever we deserve this. Jeremy goes to these fucking cons. He sees the horror people. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We don't mind paying for our shit. So,
and I was going to say, as a child of the internet, I was going to say it's no longer a thing, which is actually, I'm not going to finish my thought. But there used to be a site that, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking
where
about.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm saying everyone who you're listening to me right now, you know what it's called, and you've seen worse fucked up shit on the internet. Then I'm not taking away from 9/11, and as I mentioned, the Challenger explosion and stuff like that. We've all seen shit that we probably shouldn't have, but there's some pretty depraved shit out there that we've seen on the internet. Now the internet's a little bit different. It's not like you go into a theater to see a movie, but yeah, there's some stuff that'll mess you up a little bit. And again, that's where the avenue you find yourself in. I mean, okay, like we're text was saying, it's like it's your choice. It's up to you, or it's up to these parents that if you now, not to say like what I said, when you got this, they bring little Timmy to the fucking haunt and he's crying the entire time. Now, like I said, now I'm cool with some of the kids. I'm like, I'll get down and I'll be like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Like, trust me, you made it this far. You're at the end. You're braver than I've seen people 3 times your age take off the second they see me. And it kind of lifts them up a little bit. Now, some people, they just throw their fucking kids and be like, here, take them, get them, kill them, have them. Like, there are those parents. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there are ones that know your kids. I think we've said that so many times down there. Like, know your damn kid. Like, they'll throw their kid and the kid's just laughing, having a great fucking time. And, I might go up to them and be like, all right, well, in the death room, whatever. So.
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to like House of a Thousand Corpses, there's nothing in this movie that you haven't seen in 15 other horror films that is shocking. The reason why this movie got the attention that it did was because Universal fucking shelved it for 3 years. And the first trailer that you ever saw of this movie, one of the taglines was the most shocking film in 20 years. So the studios themselves cooked up how crazy and just insane this movie was. There's nothing that bad in this movie. I mean, hell, you barely get any nudity. The worst thing you see, I guess, is maybe Chris Hardwick getting scalped, and then Rainn Wilson when he's fucking revealed as Fish Boy. I mean, that's really the worst. That and whenever Bill Moseley is torturing the cheerleaders, but you get like 5 seconds of it. This is what I'm saying. They cut down on this shit. So people like me and apparently Frank and Flo are like, fuck, I want to see the whole thing. Where's the rest of this puzzle? It's you're taking away from the story here. How can I get the full picture? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think I needed. I think I've pretty well got the fucking idea that Sheri Moon stabbed the absolute dog shit out of that girl. I'm like, I don't need to see it. I know what she did. Yeah, that. I'm like, I get it. I mean, that was a damn
right. But
that was
don't you want to see the? Don't you like seeing the original intent of what the artist did, no matter who it is? I mean, when a director,
what her body looks like, she looks like a fucking slab of Swiss cheese. Like, I understand,
right?
I mean, and I'm not going to take away from the some of the effects and the like the set decorations and shit in this movie, like some of the bodies that we see and some of the skeletons.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually kind of, again, when I said this was like a haunted house as a movie, right? It definitely did that. And again, coming from a haunt actor, it did look like that. And I'm like, I feel like I've seen this. I've seen these set decorations. I've seen the way this flows. You know what I mean? Except this just has actual murder, which is one of those stupid intrusive thoughts. When you're working at a haunt, you think you turn on this bitch right here that you're looking at on screen is gonna be right behind you with a knife up above her head, about to sink into your dome. So it kind of creeps in the back of your head where you're like looking over your shoulder, like, oh, somebody could kill me here. You wouldn't even know. You know what I mean?
But there's a couple of things about the movie I want to get your guys' thoughts on real quick. Number one was the guys that are in the well.
Those are cool.
That was a pretty cool effect. I love that look right there. That's a pretty intimidating scene.
That's sweet.
But I don't think they were in the movie near enough. There's literally the one scene. You get to see them for about 10 seconds, kind of in the shadows, do their work, but you never really get to see a close-up of them being them. A huge waste of opportunity. I mean,
if you're going to have the House of 1,000 Corpses, I mean, as Dead Meat James said, this is like House of like 14 corpses. I'm like, I know, I get it, but
yeah.
They're there.
So I want you guys to spoil something for me. Tech specifically, I know you've seen all these movies about 300 or 400 times. Please tell me that as we go on to the Firefly trilogy, the Firefly franchise, that there's more of these guys, because I thought they should have been like the main way of dispatching the teenagers. It would have been cool if you'd have seen them throw like one of these kids into the well and you hear them getting torn up, and then maybe the next person they throw down in the well and you just kind of see them from afar, and then maybe the last person you throw down there, and that's when you get to see like the chase underground and stuff like that. Build tension with these gross things right there, but they were not used in the movie nearly enough. So spoil this for me. Do they play a bigger role in this franchise moving forward?
Tex, do you want to break his heart, or do you want me to do it?
Frank, I know you love this movie.
I want the spoiler on this one.
Frank, I know you love this movie maybe more than I do. It's crazy how big of a Rob Zombie fan you are. But unfortunately, no. This is the only point in time where Dr. Satan plays any role in this franchise whatsoever. And I'll tell you, and it's kind of funny. The original person that was supposedly Dr. Satan in this movie was Grandpa from the house and the dinner scene. He was supposed to be revealed as Dr. Satan later on. But after the movie was finished, they tested it for, some people at Universal, and they said, well, we need to punch up this ending. And they threw a fuck ton of money at Rob Zombie. And that's when the Dr. Satan stuff actually came to fruition with these guys in the tunnel, Dr. Satan himself. There is pictures of Chris Hardwick's character, Jerry, being eaten by these guys that Rob Zombie released a couple years ago on Instagram. So this was shot. They have footage of this, but nobody knows where the fuck it is. So this is once again
got lost. That's what really sucks about
yeah, it got lost at some point in time. This is why I want that 140-minute version of this movie, because there was more Dr. Satan, there was more of this tunnel scene. All that was done once the movie was completed. They went back and shot more Spalding. They reshot the ending. So, but no, this is the biggest letdown of this franchise for me is Dr. Satan just gets mentioned and then nobody fucking talks about him again. It's like he doesn't exist in Devil's Rejects or 3 from Hell. It's like, where the fuck? It's like there was a lot more than 3 of them. I mean, this was a family, not just 3, but yeah, no, I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, Frank, but you don't get any more than this. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's disappointing because I saw that shot. I was like, that's a great horror shot. Like,
it's great.
It looks like a skeleton that still has eyes in it. So this person doesn't have any meat on their bones. They have all their innards, and they're still trying to eat people. That to me was a shot. Like, if I know they like European films have tried to do this. You guys ever read like the Russian Sleep Experiment? I know Jeremy's probably read at least.
Oh yeah, I have.
Tex, have you ever read the Russian Sleep Experiment?
I've heard of it, but I can't say I've read it.
You need to. I think it was one of those things that, like, it's been around for a long time, but it ended up on Creepypasta, that website, and then it really took off there, like Creepypasta. But it's like when I kind of visualized that story in my head, I kind of see something like this, especially at the point where the people start to kind of lose their minds and they're eating themselves and things like that. It's a crazy story. Yeah. I highly suggest looking this up on the internet because as a horror fan, you will see all the promise.
Oh, you'll love it.
But
the guy that like screams so much his fucking like vocal cords like shatter or some shit, and then he can't fucking scream anymore. Like it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
The plot of it is
that sounds like some fucking Hellraiser shit or something.
The basic plot of it is that at some point in the past, like in the Cold War, the Russians took some prisoners, Americans or whatever, and they basically kept them awake for as long as they could. And
just see what would happen.
In case you don't know, like the brain starts to have, your body starts to have problems and you don't get sleep. And they just basically kept these guys awake indefinitely. And eventually they start eating their own innards and shit like that. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy progression of how, where
you hear the screaming, and then when that suddenly goes quiet, you're like,
it's a crazy story. But when I read that story, it's like, this is the kind of vision I get. And it's disappointing that they didn't do more with this because I thought that those were wildly underrated. Yeah. That would have been a fit because we'll talk about this next about the deaths and the effects, but it's like I really didn't like the effects. I mean, the one shot like when Rainn Wilson is kind of like up on the wall and they first go to chop off his arm, it's a really quick like cut scene. But like stuff like that, I'm like, that's what I want from the movie like this. Is he's up there and you see them taking the axe and chopping his arm off like right there at in his forearm. I was like, that's the kind of shit I want out of a good horror.
There was an entire Firefly family member. I think her name was Miss Jupiter. She was another kind of Hollywood kind of loving, very much. She was a lot like Mama Firefly, but more like Captain Spaulding. She had her own little place as well. I think her name was Miss Jupiter. I can't remember her name exactly, but she was completely cut from this movie. Like, once again, there's pictures of her with Rob on set from behind the scenes, but nobody's ever seen the footage of her. And that one scene in the movie where it's in like Technicolor and the guy's talking about how the Bigfoot creature took his wife, and you see Bigfoot for like 2 seconds. They took that part out as well to focus more on, the family like they did. So this is why I want that 140-minute version of this movie so bad, because there is so much that they cut out that I think would make it even better than it already is, but we'll probably never see it, unfortunately.
Maybe one of these days.
Rob Zombie's just like keeping all that footage in his fucking house, like locked away until years after he dies, and then they release it. Like, that'd be funny.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, release the zombie cut. Fuck it, I'm starting it right goddamn now. Hashtag release the zombie cut. I'm starting that shit immediately. Fuck it, we're doing it.
There's another scene I want to bring up to you guys real quick before we start talking about the effects and stuff like that. Is this one scene? Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. This scene.
Oh, I love that scene.
Like 40% of the movie's runtime.
Oh,
yeah. As I'm watching this, I'm like, this is a really cool thing, and then they start to drag it out a little bit, and then the music stops. When the music stops, I'm like, okay, the last couple seconds, and then it went on for like another 20 seconds. I'm like, now I don't like the scene. It was again. I think this may be a new director trying to overthink and trying to make it a little too artistic. I mean, because this was a very Tarantino kind of scene, but that drug on for far too long. Until it got to the point where I was like,
well, you're in suspense and you're like,
that's the thing is, I got to the point where I was like, he's there. I know how this is going to end. Now I'm just waiting for the payoff. And then it's like the camera pulls back, and I'm like, I'm digging this shot. I'm liking it too. And then the music stops, and I'm like, that moment of silence builds more dread. I've said this about horror movies a lot. A lot of times, the background music and the noise, it's when the noise stops. That silence builds dread when you're not hearing. Mm-hmm. It's what you're not hearing that can make a situation more scary. So when the music stops, I'm like thinking to myself, okay, we're going to have about 2 seconds of silence here.
Because then that gunshot's going to ring right through that silence, yeah.
And then it got to the point, like 5 minutes later, I'm like, are we still here? What are we doing here?
I will say this. The first time you see that scene in theater, well, I could remember I was about 15 when I saw this in theater. The first time I saw that, it was like, I'm like holding the edge of my seat. I'm like, okay, I mean, you know he's going to get fucking shot in the head. But the longer it goes, you kind of lean forward and you sit and you're like gripping your seat even harder. And then finally, when he pulls the trigger, it's like, oh, fuck, yeah, he finally fucking did it. It plays great the first time, but after that, I do agree. It's not as good. You're like, okay, let's fucking get to it. I do agree.
Like, even the first time, because like I said, I was pretty sure I saw this movie. Apparently, I was mistaken. But as I'm sitting here watching it, and as far as I'm concerned, this is my first time watching this film. It got to the point where I was like, I'm waiting, and then I'm not waiting for the payoff anymore. Now I'm annoyed. And so now when he finally pulls the trigger and dispatches Walton Goggins' character, I'm like, now I don't care. You built up all that tension, and if you don't pay off at just the right time, at the peak of that tension, if that tension starts to drop down, it's deflating. So it's like you get to the point where the camera pulls back, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this shot. It was the kind of artistry I wanted out of this shot. And then the music stops, and I'm like, okay, this is a very Tarantino thing to do. Let the sound of the event be the only sound I hear for that one moment. And then it's like another 15 seconds roll by, and my anticipation has stopped. And I'm like wondering if I accidentally paused the movie. My mind is going all the way to other places. I'm like, did I sit on the remote and pause? I mean, what the hell is going on here? And then finally he pulls the trigger, and I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. Why didn't you give it to me when I was at the crescendo of the roller coaster instead of waiting until I got to the end and I've already kind of had the ride of this whole scene? That to me, I think was not very good directing for a first-time director.
I do like that. While I agree, the length of the waiting for that scene took too long. When you're watching the whole movie where Waddell's sitting there with Mama Firefly at the table, that soft kind of music is playing. It's very lulling. You know, obviously we know that they're trying to keep them busy with Waddell at the table and, you know, Officer Fucknut or whatever. I can't remember his fucking name in this movie. Is out there being held by gunpoint at Otis, and Mama Firefly is looking at the pictures, and then you see her pull the pistol out, shoots Waddell in the head. That's whenever Officer Barney Fife over here looks, oh shit, and that's when Otis pops up, and you still have that soft, easygoing kind of music to kind of lull you through what's horrifyingly happening, because it plays out so well. I love how that shot is done. I mean, the dad gets shot right there, seeing his daughter hung up in the shed. Once again, that is Rob Zombie's artistic visions coming into play with a brutal scene that I think works perfectly, except for I'd take about 10 seconds out of that waiting time. I do agree with that.
I was going to say, I also don't want to back up a little bit and be like, I don't need to see the entirety of Walton Goggins turning around, looking at him, putting his gun down, putting his radio down, slowly kneeling, looking at him. He's walking towards him. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I know what you're going to do. Just shoot him in the head. Shoot him in the head so I can see him in Fallout later. Jesus Christ.
If I would have done anything,
I forgot he was in this movie. I was like,
maybe,
oh my God, a young Walton Goggins. Let's go.
Maybe when they take the sound out of it, have Walton be like, please don't. Or, don't have him say something asking for mercy, and then Otis just blows his fucking head off. I think that's the only thing I would have changed. Take out about 10 seconds of the wait time, put him begging for his life. Not like, please, please, but like manly doing it and then getting his fucking head blown off. I think that's how I would have shot it.
You could have ran that in slow motion and like Tex was saying, like maybe do that in real time. Like once he's down, he could just look at it, say something, and then he could just be. You could still have Bill Moseley to sit there for a second, and then just boom, dead. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then let's take a minute to talk about the effects now. And one of the strong points in this movie is by far the special effects. The kills were fantastic. I've said it 100 times. If you're gonna make a horror movie, the deaths have to be top notch, or they at least have to fit what you're doing in the movie. I'll start with you, Jay. What do you think of the deaths? What do you think of the special effects, the blood and gore? As somebody who does this stuff professionally, what did you think of the look of this whole thing?
Well, I was gonna say that picture right there. I'm actually pretty sure we have something very similar to that in our haunt. There's a whole.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a whole laboratory scene, and Tex will like it because there's tits all over the place because all the mannequins aren't even dressed. Who cares? And they're split open.
Yeah, there's hashtag tits out for Tex, baby. Let's go. I love it.
I was saying when you go through the science lab, there's tits all over, bloody tits all over that room. You'll like it.
Oh, the only thing better than tits is bloody tits. Hashtag it, motherfucker. I don't care.
Yeah, she has a real long neck. It's a cool effect. It comes out and it comes right in your face, and she's got a real long neck, and then goes back. But I was gonna say that Dr. Satan thing. I think we have something very similar. There's people on lab tables. Dr. Satan. There's a fake body. There's the doctors and shit. It is kind of a shame that as cool as that Dr. Satan character looks, it's but that's the last time we see him. Yeah, that. I think that's just really cool looking. And that's just sucks the last time we see him. And I think Chris Hardwick got kind of one of the coolest deaths right there. I mean, he's just scalped open. He's still got the fucking the scissors on his fucking head still, and he's strapped down and shit. He's had knives thrown at him all night. Yeah, it's awesome.
No, he got fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give it to him. Like I said, some of the bodies. The deteriorated bodies that we saw that were kind of half like Indiana Jones, a little bit kind of melted, but you can see teeth coming through. Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I wish I'd have gotten a shot when they pulled the dad's face off. I wish I could have gotten a shot of that.
Yeah, because he had a Texas Chainsaw kind of thing going on. I don't know why they wrote trick on her leg. I'm like, maybe Spalding does need his education because he can't fucking spell right or properly structure the fucking phrase trick or treat. It's Halloween. As much as you guys love to jerk off to Halloween, you couldn't spell that right on her body.
Damn right.
Come on.
Hey. Come on now.
I don't know. I'm just being an asshole. No, it's even in the beginning, man. That raw, just he just boom shoots little Dick Wick right in the head.
Oh, he sniffs that fucking gun, dude. Fuck yeah.
It.
Damn right, buddy.
His skull coming off and his fucking brain exposed. I'm like, that's
motherfucker got blood all over my best goddamn clown suit. I love that shit.
Yeah, this was pretty seamless. There's, like I said, this is set decked like a Halloween haunt, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Tex, how about you? I mean, again, you've seen almost every horror movie ever made. All the blood and guts that they can put on celluloid. Where does this rank for you? I mean, what did you think of the effects of the blood and gore of the movie?
This is practical done right. Obviously when we're looking at Rainn Wilson as Fish Boy, we know that's not really him sitting there. But the practical effects makeup, the way that looks is just incredible. I mean, he looks like he's the creature from the Black Lagoon with fucking, sideburns and glasses. I mean, it's crazy how they pull that shit off. The kills, I mean, obviously from Little Dick, getting shot in the head with that mongoloid bastard, coming in with the axe, just fucking people up. It's low budget and it works. This is not CGI. I don't really know how much CGI they even used in this movie, to be honest with you.
I don't
Low to none from what I can tell.
Well, for one, it was early 2000s. There probably wasn't a lot of great CGI out there to use.
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't like Rob Zombie had a big enough budget to do a lot of CGI, so this had to have been 90% practical, if not 100.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The kills are, whenever Chris Hardwick's fucking, nailed to that board in, Sheri Moon's bedroom, and he's getting fucking scalped. You believe that shit. You think he's actually getting his fucking, the top of his dome cut off. And it's crazy how he pulls up. Maybe my favorite thing about Rob Zombie is how he shows violence. Because I know a lot of people shit on Zack Snyder for using slow motion and stuff. Rob Zombie does the same things, but not nearly to the extent that Snyder does, but he does it effectively. Like after the dinner scene and they're trying to leave, and there's those two scarecrows hanging out with the gate closing. Whenever you see Otis come off and everything else, the slow-mo effect of how the violence is happening in that scene, and we hear screaming, but we don't see anything, it works. Because all we hear is screaming in our ears. We know what's happening, but we don't get to fucking see it, so it makes us even more intrigued. Sheri Moon running through the field, run, rabbit, run, and stabbing that bitch to death, just fucking her up. I mean, my God, it's the violence shot in this movie is beautiful. I mean, the way that for him to be a first-time director, I think he nailed it right out of the gate. Now, he does have a background with the music video experience, Beavis and Butthead, everything else. The man knows what he wants to shoot. I have to give him credit for that.
I was going to say, them coming off those, like, wooden crosses or something when they're getting them yanked out of the car. I was like, that is straight up, that is a haunted house move right there. I'm like, you have all these bodies up these crosses, and you see one just turn his fucking head. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm like, we have something very similar to that. We have a room full of bodies hanging from the ceiling, but they're intercut. There's like, they're like swings, essentially. Think of like a swing set, real low to the ground. There's a piece of wood. The people hold on to the ropes, and they're in the bodies. They hide in the bodies, and people walk through it. And then they just jump off. And it's a real long run. They can just chase people. I'm like, that's a simple yet effective, like haunted house room scare. It's really cool.
This is one of those horror films where the victims aren't the stars. This is not like Texas Chainsaw 2003 that came out the same year, where it's pretty clear Jessica Biel is the focus of this movie. The kids in this movie, Rainn Wilson, Chris Hardwick, whoever the fuck the girls were, they're just victims for the killers. They are literally here to die. We don't care who they are. We have such big stars on the other side of this. We're going to showcase the Fireflies, which I find very funny because in the 2003 Texas Chainsaw, we had the contrast with Jessica Biel, but you had like Arlie Ermey playing Sheriff Hoyt, who carries a lot of that. So at this point in time in horror, you really got to see the prominence of focusing on the villains and not giving a damn who the good people were. That's why I love this era of horror so much, because they kind of flipped it from what it was in the 80s, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I dig it.
See, let's get deep into some trivia now, and real quick before we get to the trivia, let me ask you guys, what is the odds that I'm going to come up with even one piece of trivia that Tex does not already know?
You can try. I mean, I'm always down to be surprised.
You can't see him right now, but he already pulled out his list, and he's got it laid out.
I'm making mental notes over here. Let's go. I dig it.
You're seeing a mile long, like going up
some of the stupid stuff is like this person was also in this movie. I'm like, any IMDb search will tell you that, but it's like I'm talking about something specific to the film that might surprise him. I'm willing to bet.
I'm down.
I'm willing to bet there might be something small about maybe the inspiration for a character name. I've got something on that, but I mean, there might be something small that he doesn't know, but probably not anything terribly significant.
So to say,
I might learn something.
I could teach a collegiate level course in fucking House of a Thousand Corpses, Firefly shit. I know my fucking shit. All right, I know what I'm talking about.
Let's get to it. This film was actually shot on a 25-day shooting schedule. 2 weeks were spent filming on the Universal Studios Hollywood backlots. At the house, the house that was featured in this film was the same house that was used in the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas in 1982, and it can be seen on the Universal Studios tram tours.
It's like, I think it's still there.
Well, that's what's so funny. Rob Zombie, he was getting fucking pissed because the Universal Studios tram tour would stop in the middle of their set while they were fucking filming. So they would have to stop filming the movie for the tram to go through it. Oh, what's that? You know, and a bunch of tourists over there wearing socks and sandals and shit, taking pictures and whatever. Then they could finish filming the fucking murder scenes. It's hilarious.
I'm saying that haunt actor in me would start clicking in. I'd start running at him like, run! I'd
Right.
Just go scare him.
Oh yeah.
See, like I said, the names of the members of the Firefly family were actually taken from names of Groucho Marx characters. Captain Spaulding was a character in Animal Crackers in 1930. Otis B. Driftwood was a character in A Night at the Opera from 1935. And Rufus T. Firefly was taken from Duck Soup in 1933. Lastly, Hugo Z. Hackenbush was derived from A Day at the Races in 1937.
Son of a bitch.
I actually like the fact that Rob Zombie went back to like stuff from the comedies from the 30s to get character names.
Yeah.
That to me shows some fucking knowledge about the film.
Well,
that's a guy who's a bit of a historian.
Yeah.
That's why I love Rob Zombie's work, is because just go back. I mean, his family worked at a fucking carnival, like a carnival with fucking clowns and shit. The dude was a product of the weird 70s era of shit, and that's what he goes for. I mean, hell, it's no secret. If you give me a family of murderous psychopaths, that's probably my favorite fucking movies. Let's be real here. But Rob Zombie appreciates the art style and how to present it. You can watch this movie, this is believable that it's in the same world as, really any era Texas Chainsaw. You could say, because both of these happen in Texas, you could say this happened right down from the fucking Sawyer incident and everything else. It looks and feels like that era of cinema. The Grindhouse drive-in era, it looks like it. It feels like it. It fits with it. I love it, man.
All of a sudden, you see the truck driver from the end of the first Texas Chainsaw running by their fucking house.
He's just fucking running. God damn it, run, motherfucker! That motherfucker's got a chainsaw. You know, he's just fucking running. I can see it. I dig it.
Still running to this day.
Hey, how Rob Zombie hasn't been hired to do a fucking Texas Chainsaw movie is fucking beyond me. The dude is perfect for it. Yes, I know this is.
It would be interesting to see his vision.
Oh,
yes.
God, yeah.
Give him a limited budget. Give him just enough to make the movie, but give him carte blanche. Say, go fucking full bore. Do not hold back. Obviously, Terrifier can get an unrated release. Fuck, we can see bitches get cut in half pussy first. So have fun, Rob. We now live in times where this is an option. I think it'd kill. How they haven't, or a fucking Friday the 13th movie. Give him Jason. Are you kidding me? I'd love to see him do Friday the 13th. I think he'd do great at it.
I like to see anybody do it well. I just want to see somebody do it well.
Yeah, no. Yeah, tell fucking Sean Cunningham's his greedy ass to get the fuck out of the way so we can get a fucking Friday the 13th movie. What the fuck is going on, dude? It's bullshit.
It's easier to cut somebody in half with a chainsaw than as a hacksaw. Sorry, Art, but
hey, you know what? Rob Zombie needs to get more work. I know Rob Zombie is one of those guys. He's going to do it his way or not at all. Literally, go back and listen to him talk about on the Joe Rogan podcast. When he presented this to Universal, he said, we either do it this way or just walk away and not work together.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy. You have to give him, like I said, carte blanche, or he's not going to fucking do it. So, you know what? If I had the money, I'd let him fucking go. Make me a movie, man. I'm here.
Let's see. Prior to working on House of a Thousand Corpses, Zombie had worked on animation for Beavis and Butthead Do America. We talked about that already. And directed music videos, as well as unsuccessfully attempting to write a script for what would become The Crow Salvation.
All right.
That would be an interesting franchise to see him get involved in.
Yeah, The Crow.
I
mean,
it could
being like remade now or
it's
something,
not.
or-
It's not so
say.
much horror. You wouldn't need a lot of the graphic stuff. So I mean, you wouldn't have to see Rainn Wilson.
It couldn't be any worse than that fucking CGI blood-filled fuck fest with a fucking face-tattooed SoundCloud rapper Crow that we're gonna get here this fucking year. So,
Well, we haven't seen it yet. It could
why
be
the hell not?
It could be good. We don't know.
Oh, it could be. And
The first Crow
I
and good
like-
movie. Every sequel after that was definitely subpar. So
I like Bill Skarsgård. I mean, I think Skarsgård is the best version of Pennywise that we've gotten. Even though I do love Tim Curry's, Skarsgård is much scarier and much more effective, I think. But the way he looks as the Crow is just very fucking off-putting. It's like Post Malone, but in a even worse way. Like, I don't like it. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, that movie's coming out soon, so we'll definitely get around to looking at that one.
Right.
But let's see. There's more than one instance where you see a poster for two missing boys. These boys were actually pictures of Rob Zombie and his younger brother Michael Cummings, aka Spider One, the lead singer of Power Man 5000, his children.
That's funny.
There's a lot in Captain Spaulding's, little gas station, little Easter eggs and little nods that they never really paid attention to. And the only way you know about it is if going behind the scenes and just watching all of the stuff that's in there. Because it's not that they just gathered a bunch of fucked up shit and threw it together. It's stuff like this where Rob and his team, credit where it's due, they actually took the time to make a real place like you could feel like exists. I mean, like this past summer, I got to go to the gas station from the original Texas Chainsaw film. In my head, it's kind of like how this place is. So I wish a place like this existed. I'd never fucking leave. I love it.
Let's see. In 2014, Rob Zombie acknowledged the movie's cult following, but admitted that he himself is not fond of it. Zombie called the film, quote, a calamitous mess. All I see is flaw upon flaw upon flaw upon flaw. But here's where I'll defend Here's where I'll defend Rob Zombie. Like I said, the first time you do something, you're going to be bad at it. You have to work to get good at it.
Right.
I do respect that he's going to look at his own work and be like, I could have done this better here. I could have done that better there, because that's how you get to the point where you make a couple of films and you're like, oh, I remember I did this wrong on this film. I'm going to do it different on this film to see if I get a better result, or at least a different result. So I respect that he looks at his own work and he's overcritical of it, because I'm the same way. This is one of the reasons why I try not to go back and watch live streams after the fact, because I will instantly hate the sound of my own voice. I will instantly hate when
The more I've done that,
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
The more I've understood, like some actors who like don't watch their movies, I'm like, you know what? I can understand that. Really, I tried to shoot. I was shooting a music video for a buddy, and I was like, I'm so fucking overly critical of myself. I'm like, damn it, I stepped the wrong way. Or I was supposed to run through here, and I didn't. I did this wrong. Can I do it one more time? I'm like, I probably sound annoying, but I'm like, but I want to do it right, and I did genuinely trip once, and that was on camera. That was kind of funny. But
Frank, have you seen The Devil's Rejects?
No, not yet.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, I won't spoil anything besides what I already, what you wanted me to, but stylistically, it could not be any more different from this movie. I mean, literally fucking night and day. Like, you could physically believe that these two movies were directed by different people. If you didn't already know, I think most people like Devil's Rejects more than they do House. I love them both. I'm in the minority, though. I like House of a Thousand Corpses better than I do Devil's Rejects, but they're both A+ in my opinion. I love both of these movies.
I like Devil's Rejects better. Sorry.
Most people do. No, you're good. I mean, most people have that opinion because now, objectively, I will say, you can see Rob's experience. It is a better movie. It is.
A better made movie, I guess, really. It's like, it is better.
Yeah, it's a better made movie. Better in entertainment value is subjective. But making-wise, Rejects is a better film. It's.
I mean, they were talking about like the depravity in this one. It's like, oh no, it gets more, gets a little more brutal.
Oh, he amps it up in that fucking hotel scene. He doesn't fucking hold back. I mean, just the line of, and I mean, Frank, I'll give you a taste. There's a line in this movie of, I got your wife's.
Yep.
I got your. I got your wife's pussy stink on the barrel of my gun. I hope it doesn't rust. That's a line in the movie. So just know that's what you're getting into ahead of time. So.
Sometimes though, I want a movie to go that hard. Sometimes though, depending on the movie.
Will.
And I would expect something like that from a movie like this. So it's like, getting a line like that would. I would not be mad.
I keep saying, like, you know how like Tarantino movies left turn real fucking fast. Yeah. It's that scene,
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. At around 1 hour and 18 minutes. The DVD in the DVD commentary, Rob Zombie revealed that Jake McKinnon, who played the professor, couldn't see very well in his costume. In the scene where he swings a real axe at the character Denise, played by Erin Daniels, his vision was so bad that he could have seriously injured her if she did not move fast enough. Rob Zombie says in his commentary, quote, "We just shot it assuming that she would get out of the way."
Yeah.
And you really would just think that's how, I mean, we have a real axe down there. It's dulled, but I'm like, yeah, but that's a metal axe. You swing that at a fucking customer, it's going to be.
There's also another Easter egg within that scene. When he's swinging the axe, they go from his POV, and it's just blacked out, and all you can see is from within the goggles, just like the original kill in the 1974 Halloween, when we see Michael killing Judith, his sister. That's kind of an homage. I don't know if Rob was purposely doing that, but effectively is what he did. So there's another homage in that.
5 more years, I'm going to remake that movie.
And it's going to be fucking best. Rob Zombie's Halloween's the best out of any of them. Fuck anybody who doesn't think so. So I stand on that.
I saw the first one, and I thought it was pretty good.
I love Rob Zombie's Halloween, too. I'm a huge fan of that movie. I mean, shocker, right? But
I know. I'm just
I dig it. Yeah.
Right now, he has a dildo the shape of Rob Zombie in his back pocket. Right now.
Oh, I know.
He even drew the little X on the head, on the tip, like right.
I've got Rob Zombie.
Tonight, baby.
If there was a Rob Zombie fan club, I'd be the president. That's all I'm saying. I know. I'm not oblivious. I'm very aware, but it is what it is. So let's move along.
In a bit of a telling of what would come to be in the future, at around 17 minutes, as Harrison Young's character looks out the window at the children trick-or-treating, you can see the house used in the original television show The Munsters from 1964, located in the Universal backlot. His house, the one that he's looking out from, is the same house that was used in Leave It to Beaver in the 1950s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
One. Okay.
Dude, I swear to
all
God,
of these.
If I won the lottery, one of the first things I would do is I would put us all on an airplane and I would go to one of these backlot tours, because there is just to walk, just to go see some of these houses. I mean, yeah, they're obviously not real houses, but I mean, just to stand in front of the house where some of these scenes were shot. I mean, like in front of the Psycho house in the backlot. To go to some of these places. I would just love to stand in front of these places and know that I'm standing where this camera, right about where this camera was, that gets this great shot from a movie that I enjoy. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
They'll take the pictures to like the locations and they like put it in frame, like right where, like there's the bush where Michael's just in there peeking out. And they're like on the sidewalk, like holding it up to like where it would be. It's like, yeah.
Well, I have been to the gas station from the original Chainsaw. The house in Kingsland, Texas, is now a barbecue restaurant down on the Colorado River down here in Texas. I've been there. I've been to the house and for the 2003 Chainsaw film, which is a private residence. You can only go to the fence. You can't go any further. But I've been to those locations down here, so I've seen a little bit. But, it's all good.
The remake house. Yeah. It's really weird. It's
dude, the remake house. It looks just like it did back then. They've fucked with it very little. Now it's been a couple years since I've been there. They may have done something since. But whenever I was there, take out the cars parked next to it, whatever, it looks just like it is in the movie, just not as pretty with the Hollywood shine, but beautiful house to go to. I love it.
Let's see. Otis and Baby's bizarre rants during the home movie segments are inspired by the Charles Manson family's supposed home movies. That made perfect
Did you know
sense.
those were shot in? Did you know that those were actually shot in inside Rob Zombie's basement? That wasn't even on the lot. A lot of that, all of that cutaway shit.
Yeah.
The rants that happen, the weird dances that Baby does, the scene where Baby gets sexy time with a skeleton, all of that was shot in Zombie's basement. So for all that, and that's more shit that was in the 140-minute cut of the film that we'll never get to see, unfortunately.
He bought like a little like film camera, like a little 16mm camera or some shit, right? And he
No,
filmed all
that was 8mm for that stuff. That was 8mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8mm. Yeah,
That's cool as hell.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. Let me take out my pictures now. Let's see. Sid Haig, obviously famous for playing Captain Spaulding in this movie. He actually beat out John Polito and Red West for the role of Captain Spaulding in this movie.
I'm glad he did. Perfect casting.
Red West was the guy that played the auto parts store guy in Roadhouse, the original Roadhouse film.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, Sid Haig. Do either of y'all have the DVD for this movie?
I watched it on streaming.
I think I have. I know I have Devil's Rejects separate, and I think I have House, but then I bought one that had all three together in one because I didn't find.
Go find this specific House of a Thousand Corpses DVD. This DVD menu is the greatest DVD menu ever because it's literally.
Yeah.
It is live interactive. I mean, it starts off ringing the bell on the counter and you hear Sid Haig in the background. God damn it, quit ringing that fucking bell. If you're out there ringing, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, whatever he says. And it comes out, well, shit the bed. And he goes, well, you can hit play right here. You can go to the special features. It is completely interactive. And the longer you wait, the more pissed off he gets inside of it. It is hilarious to watch. It is great. I love it.
I think that is the one I have because I do have House and Devil's separate. I think, I do remember that.
The Devil's Rejects, that was just a plain menu. That didn't have the interactive shit like this one does now, unfortunately.
Yeah, John Polito would be interesting too. I mean, he used stuff like Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, which should have been a franchise in and of itself, but the movie flopped. He was the first Highlander. I mean, he was mostly a character actor, but he had kind of the bald guy with a kind of a porn stash. But he could have been interesting. He did a lot of TV work too. But he would have been interesting in the role as well. Red West would have been interesting, but I mean, ultimately, I'm really glad that we ended up with Sid Haig. I think
I can't see anybody but Sid Haig.
Worked out great.
Yeah,
I can't see anybody but Sid Haig in this role. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Some people transcend the role and you can only see them playing it. So, this is Sid Haig's forever, unfortunately.
Let's see. I didn't think to get a picture of him. This is the only picture I have of him that's in my set right now. You see him laying there face first in the puddle. That was actually Harrison Young.
Ryan.
And he is wearing almost an identical outfit to the one that he wore while playing the older Ryan in Saving Private Ryan in 1990.
Yeah, it's really fucking distracting. I'm like, damn it.
If you go back to our review of Saving Private Ryan, I even brought up that same fucking fact. So more horror points to this guy. So, it is what it is. So,
well, he had to ask himself that question at the last minute. Did I live a good life? Did I live a good life?
Well,
not a good man. I don't know.
I mean,
did you earn this? Did you earn it?
He lived a pretty bad life. I mean, he went from the horrors of World War II to seeing his daughter mutilated, tied in a fucking rape shed. I mean, what the fuck do you expect? You know what I mean? I mean, Jesus Christ, come on now. So,
yeah. Let's see. One of my favorite shots in the movie is this right here. Captain Spaulding, played by Sid Haig, says that he's been running his business since right after John Wayne won the Oscar, which he did on April 17th of 1970 for his performance in True Grit, which came out in 1969. The date in this movie is supposed to be October 30th, 1977, which means that Spaulding has been running the museum for about 7.5 years.
Fair enough.
I got to be honest. If you had to have told me that this movie takes place in the 70s, I would have thought that it was just modern day. Because if you think about it, like the kind of area where they're at, I mean, they're They're in Texas, right? That's where the movie's set is in Texas.
The movie takes place in Texas. Yes.
In some backwoods town in Texas, you would imagine they would drive around a bunch of cars from the late 70s. Because you would expect to see a lot of modern day like Beamers. You would expect to see a lot of Teslas in a nowhere town in Texas. But maybe, well, I don't know, Tesla's in Texas, so maybe.
Well,
but you would expect to see a lot of old, like late 70s models cars still being driven around in an area like that. So I would have known unless you pointed it out to me.
It is worth mentioning. I mean, one of the criticisms that Rob Zombie gets is anybody that's ever in any of his films never gets a haircut. They swear like 13-year-olds, and it's always in the 70s. That's probably his biggest criticism. But you know what? His fans dig it. So if the people that bitch about this kind of stuff aren't going to pay to see it anyways, who gives a damn? Make the audience that is going to be there for you happy, I say. So, what are you going to do?
Make your film. Don't make somebody else's. Make your film.
Right. Exactly. That's my whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, this film would eventually establish Sheri Moon Zombie as a scream queen. Ironically enough, she does not like horror films as they scare her too much.
That's kind of funny.
I mean, you're married to Rob Zombie. I can't imagine Rob Zombie was like one of the first people in line to buy tickets to go see Barbie. You know what I mean?
He may have put on a pink hat.
Maybe he saw Barbie. He liked it. I don't know. I don't
but
know.
He swapped out the hat for the pink cowboy hat. I don't know.
Maybe. But I would imagine that this is kind of what's going on in their house a lot. Is he's just like, I found some obscure horror movie from 1987 that three people have ever seen. I want to watch this. It's good. So that's kind of what I figured. But I'm going to ask Jeremy, because I know Tex is going to get this one right off the bat. Who is Baby Firefly's favorite actress? Real quick. If you get it wrong, we kill you. If you get it right, let's go.
You gonna kill me? I don't even remember what the hell the answer he gave her was either. I'm like, shit.
I don't remember the answer he gave her.
I can't remember the real answer, but he says Betty Davis, but I know that's wrong. I can't remember the real answer right now.
Wait. It was that he said Marilyn.
Or no, there was.
He did say
Marilyn. Oh yeah, he says Marilyn, but the real answer is Betty Davis. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And around 52, Firefly's favorite actress is Betty Davis.
Yeah. Which I gotta say, I know I praised Sheri Moon in this, but holy fuck, she goes from, I mean, as Jeremy put her earlier, redneck Harley Quinn, psycho hot blonde with her fucking ass hanging out, hitting on G. Ober over there in the fucking red hot pussy lickers. Jesus Christ, to that picturesque, like, this might be the hottest performance in horror. I mean, right up there with Sally from Texas Chainsaw to Jessica Biel. I put her on the same, and Jeremy will know what I'm talking about here. Sheri Moon in this movie is as hot as Alexandria Daddario is in Chainsaw 3D. Same fucking level hotness. Like, Jesus Christ. Right up my fucking alley.
I'm not going to sit there and tell me she's 40 fucking years old when she's clearly
like 20. I don't give a fuck how old they say she is. Whenever you've got that hot of a woman, who gives a fuck? You're trying to make sense of the fucking Texas Chainsaw timeline? God damn it, motherfucker.
Do not set the fucking movie like she's supposed to be 44 fucking years old. Just set it 20 years later. I would believe you.
So you're telling me they are going back to the original film, allegedly, and getting Bill Moseley, who plays Chop Top, to play now the cook in the film that takes place before his character even shows up from Vietnam. What the fuck is going on, Texas Chainsaw timeline? You're all over the fucking place.
I was like, do we really want to? Yeah, it makes it is my
Texas
favorite
Chainsaw
franchise. It's a
for the ones that, for the uneducated, Jeremy and I could spend 9 more hours doing a Monday Night Texas Chainsaw timeline for the fucked up shit trying to explain that fucking shit, because what the fuck is going on over there? And they're making another one, so who knows what if that creates a new timeline? We'll see what happens. So we'll see.
Also, I want to say that like this shot right here looks like something straight out of an actual 1970s horror movie.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he did it intentionally, and maybe it's just the texture of this picture that I downloaded. But I mean, it's got that grainy texture that I love about movies like the original Chainsaw. It's like that grainy texture to the film. That makes a horror movie look so a horror scene
It's
look
like the
so much
curls,
better.
the long flowy dress she's wearing. Like it feels like it came right out of the 70s.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a killer shot. But now let's talk again about this way too long death scene for Walton Goggins. And around the 1 hour mark in the I Remember You scene, Otis, played by Bill Moseley, uses a 1911 pistol to shoot at Steve Nash, played by Walton Goggins. It takes from him holding the gun to his head to him pulling the trigger 26 seconds.
Wow.
That seemed like
26 fucking minutes when he walked up to him. Like, I mean, yeah.
I had almost enough time to get up, take a piss, pour myself another drink, and sit back down before he actually killed me.
Again, internet kid, I'm like, I know it's either out there or someone needs to make one of those stupid joke YouTube videos where it's 10 hours of this, 10 hours of, like, just literally play that scene and then just pause on that fucking scene right there for 10 hours. In the last 3 seconds, he just shoots him in the fucking head. Like, that'd be a YouTube video for someone to make. That's what it felt like.
I haven't seen that, but I have seen and this was on YouTube years ago before they fucking censored it and all. Someone did a super cut of House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, and they super cutted it together like it was one super movie. And it was really fucking cool, but it worked pretty good. So I have seen that before.
Yeah, it is kind of odd that many of the people that were in this movie are now dead. Let's go to a dead body right there. As of 2021, many of the film stars have passed away, including Karen Black, Sid Haig, Tom Towles, Dennis Fimple, Erwin Keyes, Matthew McCrory, and Michael J. Pollard. This seems to be a rare distinction for a movie that is about 20 years old, going from the release date of 2023 or 2003.
Well, it's not really rare considering. Look at how many of those were famous in like the fucking 70s and shit. I mean, hell, Sid Haig was acting in the 60s. Karen Black was a huge thing in the 70s. These weren't young actors that Rob cast because he is such a deep cut horror fan that he wanted to pay homage to all of these people. So it makes sense that they died that quick. But I mean, what are you going to do?
I mean, people die. I mean, that just kind of happens. But I mean, 20 years on, you've got like 70 people dead already. But granted, they were on the back nine, so to speak. I guess is the nicest way I could probably say it. They were getting on in years, but still, it is odd. It's a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
But that's all I have for trivia. Let's go ahead and start to wrap things up now. Let me get your guys' final thoughts of the film. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Final thoughts on House of a Thousand Corpses.
If you want to, have a good romp through the early 2000s when we really got into literally the nitty gritty of horror, this is one of those movies that blazed that fucking that path. So. Again, if you want to see a movie that's, like I said, basically like a haunted house come to life, but with, actual murder, you know what? I could just quote the very, very opening lines. Like, do you like blood, violence, and freaks of nature? I mean, that's it. If you want to do that, then
come on down to Captain Spaulding's. I love it.
Pick yourself up some fried chicken. It just tastes so damn good.
Buck, 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 buck.
I do that every fucking, I have to. It's like by law, I have to.
Oh, I love it.
I wish I could have found that commercial to play like for an outro.
Just open with that.
Well, actually, no, you know what? I will save that for my final thoughts. Go ahead, Jeremy. You go ahead.
That was it. I mean, it's kind of an acquired taste, but again, we're looking in hindsight. Like, if you know Rob Zombie's style and then if you like it, yeah, you'll like this movie. And again, you can tell it's a first time thing, but once you look more into the trilogy, it does get better. So it's worth a watch.
Tex, how about you? Give us your quick final thoughts on House of a Thousand.
Quick final thoughts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 6 minutes a day. I could go another 3 hours alone. Obviously,
if you can do it in a shorter time than that damn scene took, then yeah, we're good.
Well, arguably we'll see. Obviously, Rob Zombie super fan on this panel of fine movie goers. There are 3 ringtones that I use on my phone. My alarm is the Halloween theme from Rob Zombie's 2007 film. That's what I wake up to. My phone ringer is the Captain Spaulding commercial that Jeremy just played with the music and all. So anytime my phone goes off, I get to hear that message. And my text alert is the camera sound and the wind chimes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If it lets you know anything about what kind of person that I am. I adore this movie. This is one of the seminal things that made me the horror fan that I am today. I'm so grateful for it because I love a good movie where, number one, the bad guys win, and it's just fucked up gore, nonsense, titties, and shit everywhere. This is cinema. You can put in the little meme right here if you want to. Put my face on it. This is my cinema. I love it, and I can't wait for The Devil's Rejects because I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work.
Just clean your gun before you do that. That's all.
Yeah, get that pussy stank off of it.
Get those juices off it so it doesn't rust. Yeah.
Yeah, get that pussy juice off of it.
Should have put that picture back up. I was like, oh, nope, he still didn't kill Walton Goggins. We're good. Next got it in time. He's still fucking standing over.
It's been 3 days.
Fuck
You still
yeah.
haven't called that son of a bitch. Okay, I'm gonna get somebody to eat.
Standing there. Oh, man.
But yeah, for me, like I said, I mean, there's some obvious holes in this movie. I mean, it was Rob Zombie's first time directing a film. I do get what he was trying to do, though, is he was trying to, like I've said, I mean, go back to the great horror movies of the 60s, 70s, and early 80s when the genre was at its peak. It's gotten better in the last 10 or 12 years, but I mean, it still hasn't gotten quite to that level. And you can tell the inspiration. Again, it was a bit muddled at times. I would have liked to have seen a finer tuned version, but I get what he was doing. And like I said, I've seen a couple of zombie movies over the years, and his abilities as a filmmaker have evolved. I'm interested to watch this entire Firefly trilogy to see how it evolves over these 3 films, this particular franchise, to see how all that kind of changes. But look, bottom line is, I mean, as much as I kind of complained about the movie the last hour and 41 minutes, it actually is a fun watch. It's kind of eclectic, which some of the best horror movies are. And again, he obviously was not making a movie to sell. He was making a movie because he loves the genre. And I think that does come through in a lot of these scenes. There was some great cinematography in this. The practical effects were amazing, just like they should be in a horror movie. Sheri Moon Zombie is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, this movie gives us one of the best horror characters it has ever been. So, you can't knock it when we have one of the best horror characters ever been. Honestly, I think if he would have gotten home in time to do this, I was really expecting Tex to come in and cosplay for the first time with the hat.
I will say,
for some reason, somehow something happened and he didn't do it. I was right.
I was unfortunately unable to get home in time to do the. I don't want to spoil surprise, but I will say, come Tuesday, be here because I'll be making my camera debut. I'll say that.
Like, you still got time. There's a sequel.
It's coming. It was.
We'll definitely do Tales from Hell at some point in the near future.
Consider Tuesday my screen test for me in the new Devil's Rejects movie as a young Spaulding. I'll put it out that way. So. It'll
Just
be fun.
film yourself like doing some little 30-second commercial spot for a fucking murder riding chicken. I don't know.
Don't we make you laugh? Aren't we fucking funny? Oh yeah. I'm down. Oh yeah.
But yeah, ultimately it was a pretty good movie. Again, for being a first shot at directing a film for Rob Zombie, it actually wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, he had a creative background already, the music stuff and doing some other things, and music videos. That gave it a little bit of a leg up. But it wasn't a bad effort for your first time out making a movie. And let's face it. I mean, what was it, $7 or $8 million budget? That's a pretty decent. That's a pretty decent amount of money to gamble on.
To be fair,
director. And I thought he did pretty well.
Rob Zombie doesn't. He was asked a couple years ago at a Q&A. He's not even really sure what the budget was because they initially made the film, and then Universal wanted to punch up a bunch of shit. Then they spent some more money. Then Lionsgate threw some in. He's not even really sure what the budget is, so nobody really fucking knows, unfortunately.
And we've heard this song played before because we still don't know exactly what the budget was for the Munsters. So
Right.
I don't think we ever asked.
You know what? Hey, this would not be the first time that Hollywood was a money laundering scheme for some fucking production company. This is not the first time this has happened here, people. So What are you gonna do?
I was gonna say, and I guess in the spirit of Texas Chainsaw, this is still one of those weird little movies that somehow got made. Just like that movie.
This is one of those films. I've said it before, but I want to say it on this review. This is our generation's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In 40 years, this movie will be looked upon in much higher regard than it is today, and I stand by that. I truly believe that. I think it's that good. This movie will last the battle of time. I really think it will.
I could see that.
But I think it's a good movie. I'll probably watch it again. I'm going to try to find a weekend where I don't have anybody bothering me, and I can actually sit and watch all three of these movies, kind of like one after another, to kind of get the full picture of it all. Yeah. Maybe that'll help me see things a bit differently. But we'll get to the other two. We'll get to the other two soon. But thanks to my great co-hosts for coming in, doing what they do. Obviously, when I have a horror movie I want to discuss, these two are the ones I want to have on here. Thanks to my hetero life mate Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Here Tuesday and Thursday, and I totally forgot to remind Frank that today was Thursday, but I think he figured it out. So
yeah, I was sure.
Right.
I knew it.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah,
my name's right there. You know how the internet works. You figure it out. It's that on everything. There's nothing there, but you can go look for it. I mean, be my guest.
And the shade from the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What do you got going on, my friend?
After I hang up after I end this phone call, finally going the fuck home after a long ass day. But no, besides that, I implore everybody go watch Devil's Rejects and 3 from Hell before Tuesday. If you've never seen it, it's a shocking ride to some. And for some, you might love it. You never know. We'll see. But go watch Devil's Rejects. Even if you can only watch one, watch Devil's Rejects. It's a lot of fun, and I look forward to my camera debut of the Jeremy Variety. And it's going to be cool. So I'll be on some official clown business, as we like to say around here.
Don't think that I wouldn't do the makeup, but I was like, I don't want to.
No,
I couldn't.
You need to do like a big ass fake beard and a wig, and I'll go clown over here, and we'll just fucking do this thing. And then you and I can just motherfuck each other the whole time like they do in the movie. It'd be great for the review.
Right.
You know.
Make fun of me, you motherfucker. Shut up.
Tutti fucking fruity.
Grab your tutti fruity.
There is no goddamn ice cream in your motherfucking future. But I can't wait for Devil's Rejects.
Forget it. We're not fucking getting ice cream. You're not ready for this movie, Frank. I'm telling you.
Yo, my God, yes.
As for me, you will find me here on Tuesday. We are going to be, as they said, we're going to be going over the Devil's Rejects, the sequel to this film, the Firefly trilogy. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. I mean, that visual alone was pretty dope.
That is a fucking cool poster. I always love that one.
Yeah, that's kind of
that Dawn of the Dead like fucking font over there for the Devil's Rejects. Yeah,
that does look. That is a really cool poster.
You're over here listening to some top
posters are a lost art.
Yeah.
Frank's over here listening to some top 40 bullshit. I thought you were some true blue country motherfuckers. What's going on over here?
This one will make you laugh a little bit more. You know?
God, so many lines I love in this fucking movie. God damn it!
I don't know what we're gonna.
Fuck me, man.
I don't even.
Holy shit, dude! It's fucking ridiculous. I love these movies too much. I love them.
You will see us back here on Tuesday going over the Devil's Rejects, and then after that, probably I may have to move some things around so that we can squeeze 3 from Hell in there too. Also, don't forget that I've already bought my tickets to go see Deadpool 3. 2 months away. They put them out on pre-sale. I jumped right on it. I've got the seats exactly the seats I want for the 8:00 showing that Friday. And to be absolutely honest, I'm thinking about not doing a Thursday stream right before that, so I go see it Thursday night. So I can go see it Thursday, Friday, and probably Sunday to take my kids to go see it. But depending on if there's any more celebrating Women's Month and him getting bent over by his woman. But we'll see. I'll have to screen this movie first because I'm pretty sure it's going to be wild. But I'm looking forward to that one. And obviously a lot of great movies coming up. So we'll be going over a few things. Also, Chud is still on the schedule at some point. I'm going to get to that because it's one of my favorite kind of goofy, stupid horror movies from the 80s. with some pretty decent special effects for 1983 or whatever the hell that movie came out. But it's also fun. And you get to see a young Daniel Stern.
What is the chud?
Yeah, and you get to see a young Daniel Stern being chased around the sewers by these crazy mutated whatever the hell.
Yeah, and John Goodman, for no good fucking reason at all, just shows up and hits on a bitch. So it's all
John Goodman. What you don't need a reason for John Goodman. John Goodman is the reason to put John Goodman in a movie. There's no problem with that.
Fuck up, Donnie. You're out of your league. Were you listening to the dude story?
But
yeah, this isn't not, man. There are rules, okay?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you'll see us on Tuesday doing this whole thing again with the Devil's Rejects. Come check us out then. Until next time, I want to thank my amazing hosts always. Thanks for bringing their horror expertise to this particular review. We'll be doing it again on Tuesday. Until next time, adios.
Dr. Satan.
Well, you know the one thing this movie needed Sam Elliott. Yeah. I mean, Sam Elliott would have made this movie even better.
I know we only got one set of titties in here, but they're Sheri Moon titties, so I'm all right with it. I am always up for Sheri Moon zombie titties. I'm good with that. So,
well, maybe we'll get some more good titties in the next movie. How about that? We'll see.
Oh yeah.
A whole lot of You're not ready.